5, 3, 2, 1, going live. Hello and welcome to another day in the Milky Way, everyone. I hope you're all ready for a great night tonight because I got a great guest for you, Lady Spellbreaker. And most of you out there know who she is. You've attended her shows, but tonight she's on here and we're welcoming her with open arms. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. It took me by surprise to invite you.
Oh, well, heck, everybody can be part of the Soul Tribe, and it's wonderful to have you on as a guest. I started listening to you a while back here, popping in and out, and started to chit chat and stuff a little bit. But I didn't really realize you were out there. But there was a lot of people who were watching you, and that I knew, and I was like, oh, cool. And you had a lot of good things to say. So I was like, wow, you were really taking your time with people, and you're really into this things, you're reading cards and stuff like that. And I thought that was very interesting. So tell me a little bit about, and our audience, who you are and what you do, and because I can't give good enough summary on that myself.
Well, thank you. My name is Heather. Hello to everyone. If you see me looking over, my laptop's over here and I can see the chat. So my camera's here and I'll go back and forth. Hello, Michelle. Michelle's been one of my subscribers for over a year and a half now. Oh, yeah. I've really first started, my name is Heather, and I really first started YouTube as sharing my journey through addiction recovery and out of dark and depressed places, and helping us as a human race remember who we are. Like, as spiritual beings, I went through a lot of hard times to get where I am, and I never imagined I would lose my child in this process and still be able to keep going. And the spirituality has deepened on so many levels, because when you lose someone you really love, it affects your whole life. And so I've been blessed. I knew about the Milky Way Soul Tribe from Michelle. Mm-hmm. I don't spend a lot of time on YouTube. I try not to. So I haven't been over here much yet, right? I was subscribed actually, but I'm really glad that you came into my chat room, because honestly, this is kind of pulling me out of some isolation in times that I am struggling. So I'm very, very blessed to be here. Well, in which Moon, she's been a subscriber too.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people coming in. Witchy Moon, Paradox Fossils, Lucky Stone, Michelle Can-Am Free, Nina the Mystic. Michelle Can-Am Free has been our love child. She loves everybody. She's all about love, love, love. And I appreciate her for that, because she brings to this group big hugs. And when I see her in the chat, I just feel a warm feeling knowing that she's out there thinking of us and, sending us good healing love vibrations, that's, yes. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah. Yes. She's always posting things that help me even when she thinks it doesn't. I might have a day where I don't want to talk to anybody and I'm feeling, grief is a real funny thing. So we really, I think, learning to feel our emotions and things is so very important. That's really like our divine feminine aspect, our intuition, our feelings, our, being able to allow ourselves to be emotional beings.
Yes, and that is so true. With this physical body, we have this physical body, and it's emotional, and I think there's that difference between that spiritual world and this world, only because we have these emotions and these things that we couldn't experience in the spiritual world. Because if you're in that spiritual world, say from the aspect of spirit, time doesn't exist. Walls are thin, and you can see through everything, so you know everything. You don't have to speak to people. I don't like those glasses. These are better. But anyway, you can speak to people. You know everything. So why would you be sad if you're in the happy place? You see what I'm saying? So when you're here, this is the only time that you could be affected by those emotions, those hormones running through your body, and like tasting good food. Tell me how a spirit can taste good food.
Oh, I don't think they can.
That's right. That's exactly right. That is the point. They can't eat. You could eat maybe like virtual food, but you can't eat the real thing. You will never know. Wasn't there a movie out there where it was something with an angel, and I know somebody will look it up. Lucky Stone always comes to my rescue on these things. Carolyn's in the house. Hello, Travis the Brick, Elderberry, and Marlena. Thank you for coming. Anyway, there was this angel, and he was with a person, and they were sitting there, and the angel looks at the person. She says, they're eating an orange. Says, just describe telling me what about the orange. Tell me how it tastes. Tell me all about it. And she's like, you're an angel. You're supposed to know all this stuff. And he's like, I can't eat the orange. Even if I eat it, I can't taste it. I don't have anything for it. So in one aspect, they're great, on the other side, but they can't experience the things that we experience here. And
I agree totally on that. Like, I think I teach a lot about how we don't even take our body with us. When we leave this world, our spirit, we're not taking anything with us.
Yes.
I'm going through my child's things. So, it's that we take nothing.
Yes.
Nothing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, I've had some amazing EVP readings, like electronic voice phenomena, from another woman who lost her child. And my child said the first of the 11 messages that came through was, I'm sorry, Mom. And the second one was, I didn't mean to hurt you. So that told me that we still have our feelings. Mm-hmm. We still have that bond. If my child had no memory, mm-hmm. This is why I have problems with people saying the past doesn't exist. Because if the past didn't exist, then my child wouldn't exist. You see what I'm saying? And it's while I'm in this human body now, mm-hmm. I'm like connected to the spirit world, which we all can do so easily if we step away from the material world.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think the material world has been out there telling us not to pay attention to the spiritual world. And just like you want to spread your message. And you were saying, your journey and mine too. You're into the one thing, and you gotta do what is right for you, or how do I want to put this? You got to do what your skill. Like, what is your skill? And then what is my skill? My skill, I love history. And so I look at, if you've looked at some of my shows, I love to read old history books, and I dig deep into history to tell us about what we're going through now and our future. And to me, that makes sense, because back in the day, they connected with things that we've thrown to the side now. Everybody back in the day believed in spirits.
Yes.
But today it's all hogwash, all ghost, now it's kind of coming in as a fad. Let's get a spirit box and listen to that. Let's play the Ouija board for fun. And you can buy a Ouija board at the, 5 and dime for, just to play around with. But they took that stuff seriously. The Oracle of Delphi, back in the day was like the thing. You go there and they had soothsayers and readers. And I was just listening. I just read this thing about old Greece where the guy killed his wife or his girlfriend or something like that. And she came back and she, in the spirit world, met up with a guy, said her guide said it was fine. And then told her murderer that he had to, go back to Greece or whatever and repent for his stuff or whatever, which he did. And then they killed him off, and then he became a spirit, and then they had to send him over to the other side. But they believed in this stuff, and it, more to the point where it was really true. Now we just brush it off, even though things happen around our houses and, or things move and you go, what was that? or the message comes through. Can you imagine how hard it is for a spirit to contact people nowadays when they just blow it off and go, well, that's a bunch of crap. That's just a bug. That's nothing. That's just shadow lights. Humbug. I mean, really? It's trying to tell you something. They're literally shaking on the door, and you're going, it's a damn wind. Put another freaking hook in there, It's like, but there's no wind. Wow, it's a damn bad door. I'm gonna freaking go to Menards to get a new one. What? Wake up. They're, what do they got? What do they have to do? Stand outside with a big sign going, I'm here. I'm on the other side. I want to tell you I'm okay. Am I right?
You are so right. Like, so much has happened in my world, in my lifetime anyway, but it happens here in this home a lot. And my child passed away in this room that I'm in right now. Lights go out and all kinds of supernatural things. Stuff's gone flying off the wall. My mom tries to act like I'm crazy, because I'm realizing just how much in the church has taught people not to believe in any of life after death, except for Jesus, the only dead person we are allowed to talk to and pray to is Jesus. And I studied the Bible, I was, learning a lot. I've studied a lot of different things, but as I came out from under that spell, so to speak, heavily indoctrinated.
Yeah. It's
like I started fasting and I went to an ayahuasca retreat. Actually, the 28th is my 4-year anniversary of my second ayahuasca retreat, the Red Vine. And, they told me I was going to connect to my ancestors. So, I think like our spirit guides are trying to talk to us 24/7, 365, 8 days a week. If we are paying attention, it's in everything, everywhere we go. I mean, I can't sometimes pick up the card decks to put them away without another one falling on the floor. Sometimes I'm afraid to touch them and stuff because I don't have time to just read cards all the time. You know what I mean? Every time I pick up 20 decks to put them away after a 4-hour reading for the collective, it's like, I don't have time to read them all again. You know what I mean? I'm trying to read so much. And sometimes I say, okay, when I'm too in tune with spirit guides, and maybe I want them to stop sending me so many messages all the time, but my child, I think, has hijacked my music, my reality, keeps guiding me everywhere, like bringing our soul tribe together. because we're still one, you know,
Yes.
one.
Yes. Yeah, I've been reading about this, and once the spirit crosses over, they have to learn, and then they're also guided over there on what they can do over here and who they can do it for.
Yes.
Some people need guidance and it's okay, and other ones they can't, because those people really need to let go. And then other people, are just really happy to have them there, and they understand that. And and that's where you make that connection. And apparently you've made that kind of connection in some way, shape, or form. And so that is a good thing, versus a total and then you just sit there wondering what's going on. I'm grieving all the time, oh boy, and nothing's happening. And sometimes you shouldn't be grieving, because they're fine over on the other side.
Yeah.
I mean, it isn't like they're over there in torment or something. It's just the other side. They just don't have the meat suit. They're probably standing in the room with you right now, and you just you can't, because we got really piss poor vision. You can't see them.
If you're ever watching my videos, you will catch orbs flying around the room. My child's name was Kayla Nicole Orban. I used to call her Orby all the time. And people, Delaney just said, Pearl Jones said, they love it when I play my pretty red trumpet. And they do love it when I sing. Some of my subscribers, Sweet Jane, she passed away. She's one of our soul guides now too. And she could always see the orbs around my head when I'm singing and when I'm happier. Like they do. My child knows that it just kills me sometimes when nobody's around. I still just break down and cry. But my child and I had a bond with music, and a lot of singing. My child played the piano, the keyboard. So I think that's how a lot of I'm getting through this is through music and singing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see. She said, I was able to catch Heather's child and grandpa in orb form on her first live streams. I sent the videos to her. Yeah.
Yes, so she did.
That's good. Delaney loves to catch that stuff. She's got an eye for that. And
yes, she does.
Yes, she does. But anyway, yeah, the thing is it's out there. Our cameras will catch a lot of that stuff that our eye misses. Our brain is so slow to catch up with a lot of that stuff. We're like, did you know we're like, I forget how many seconds, it's a milliseconds behind what our eye sees and what we actually do.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of times we have to use that intuition, that gut feeling, that stuff to save ourselves, or to it's like doing something, like something's falling. Did you ever have something fall off a table and you just reached out and grabbed it, and you're like, wow, that was a good catch?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't even see it falling, but my arm reached out and I caught that. How did that happen? And you ask yourself, how did that go? But you did it. You just, your brain was reacting. You listened, and you just reacted and caught it. You're like, wow, that was cool. But that's a little part of that intuition that we all have. I try to break it down a little bit, because a lot of people don't understand it as much as others. And for myself, it was always really hard to understand that concept. I just thought, well, it's something that we do, I was just lucky, whatever. But all in all, more I go through life now, as I get wiser and wiser, I really know that there's a lot more to it, and that it's my gut feeling, my inner spirit, my third eye's working, when my chakras are all lined up good and I'm feeling good. I go in a grocery store and people are freaking me out because I can just feel their vibes off. I'm like, oh man, these people are happy. I like that. Oh boy, I don't want to go over by them. And I'm running around the grocery store with a cart like this, trying to stay away from people. Like I did that kind of today. Like everybody was freaking me out. And I'm like, oh, there's just too many people in here. Oh, I got to get through this. And people are probably looking at me like, what is wrong with that wacko? But they only knew what I was feeling. Is like every time I come up to somebody, it's like,
You're doing great up here.
Oh yeah.
Because you feel comfortable with your peeps, yourself, family.
Yeah, but I mean, here I am alone in this house, and there's nobody for, long ways around my house. I live in the middle of nowhere, But
around people, I was tending to isolate a lot. So, like, when I go out now, I feel the same way. And I think it is like when we're in tune with our senses and our feelings, then we can become even more sensitive, you know what I mean, to different vibrations. But like I'm learning to observe people and not absorb all of their stuff. You know what I mean? Like there's that way we can have a protective boundary around us and not feel like we're taking it all on to where it's affecting us. You know what I mean? To be able to be at peace inside of ourselves. I think a lot of that might come with boundaries because I got to use a lot of those when I go out in public, and not even looking at things like, I don't know, in polarities. A lot of people see things as good, bad, right, wrong. If some people who are real angry can't stand happy people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like the opposite ends of the spectrum. And it's kind of like I teach you about the tree of life and how everything's balanced. We have our dark times. I allow myself to have those days where I just need to let myself cry and feel all of my feelings, release them, which is what I teach about the full moon and our dark moon that's coming up because we have a new moon next week.
Yep.
So as we enter the dark moon, it's like a void, a time of rest. You're not supposed to be doing any planting during that time. In the seasons when we plant, releasing, like in the winter, the earth in many locations rests, and we need to take time to allow our bodies to rest, sit with ourselves, allow ourselves to feel and process everything that's going on in the world, and digest it all, have a pause.
Yeah, and you need that sometimes. I know sometimes I just need to, I love to listen to news and catch up on what's going on in the world, and sometimes I just need to turn it all off and say, I just can't listen anymore. It's like I just gotta have that quiet time again, or turn on some music or something, because I just I'm tired of it all. I love to go out here, being in North Dakota. I love to go out and hike in the middle of nowhere, nobody around, and just enjoy. And it's a little too cold right now, but any other time. I got a nice little vacation here coming up, which I'm on right now, and I'm hoping the weather breaks for a little while so I can go out and enjoy some of the outdoors, where it'll be nice. But we'll just see about that. I want to say thank you for coming, Mary Wins, Pamela Jean, Scotty Boy, and Teresa Tianton from A7. Her and Lori put on a great show the other night. Thank you for that. We got Max Vision Remote View, who's in the house. Thank you for coming. And remember, everybody, right after this show, he has a show coming on where he'll be doing remote viewing. Go over there, check him out. and see what's going on with him and participate in the class. It's really great because it's a lot of fun. He's just got this way of doing it. I know when I go and do it, I usually hit on the first one, then my brain gets all jumbled, and then the second one I'm not so good at. I gotta really learn to open myself, and that's something I want to talk about too with you. You know, it's like leaving your mind blank and letting letting everything around you, where so many people say, for instance, I can't sleep at night. I'm thinking about all kinds of things. I've heard this so many times. I can't sleep because I got so many thoughts running through my head. And they got so many things going on. They're so busy. It's like, try to learn how to be quiet. Can you quiet your mind? I know I can, but can you?
I am actually practicing. I have trauma, so my brain does go a lot all over. Anxiety does it. I have been, and some days I don't do it twice a day, and some days I take a day off. I have a breathing meditation that's 20 minutes long. Mm-hmm. And my psychologist says, how is your mind while you're laying there? And I've got a thick Pilates mat. It's on the floor. And I'm trying to teach myself to lay still for 20 whole minutes and just listen to this meditation. And I'm learning Kemetic yoga in our elements in our hands. We are all the elements. You are not just your sun sign. I could teach you about astrology, but that's later. If you get your two thumbs together, it's called a pyramid. And then she always says, do the left on top of the right. So while I'm meditating, just focus on our diaphragm. And it's almost like we're grounding ourselves. I just learned some concussion anxiety strategies that's called palming, as natural ways that we can calm ourselves and focus. Like deep breath work activates the parasympathetic nervous system. And most people cannot reach those states of relaxation. But I'm seeing how beneficial they are, because a gunshot went off down the road when the windows were open and it was warm. And I was so relaxed that my brain registered that was a gunshot instead of my startle reflex jumping. So I think if we really stay dedicated to, like I was doing it twice a day, every day. And then I go through some phases of depression, fall off square, and now I'm getting back up there, but I think it also helps us activate DMT and reach higher states of consciousness if we turn away from everyone else, because there's so much going on in this world at this moment that being able to quiet the mind. That's why when I do my cards, a lot of people tell me they fall asleep because I keep native flute music playing in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm reading in a calm voice.
Yes.
People like Witch Moon, she sometimes doesn't want to talk. She's just there listening to my quiet message. My channel's a different vibration. Like if I was going to do chats again, I would probably do it on a different channel, because I'm trying to keep that one, more of the oracle cards. I think we need more stress relief, and some people need guidance to go to sleep. Yeah. They need someone's voice.
Yes. And I agree with you. I know some people, they like to have a fan going. Some people like to play music in the background. Some people just can't have it quiet. I agree with Scotty Boy on, he says, I can shut down like someone flipped the light switch. I'm right there with you. See, that's the thing. Like for me, I can lay down, I can count to 3, and I can almost be asleep. Just like that. And I can quiet my mind, and I'm out. and then it's, I think I get that, and I practice that unknowingly when I was doing a lot of horse breaking. I used to, ride horse all the time and break horses and things like that. And while I was riding, I was quiet and I would listen to the horse. And, if the horse started bucking, to me, it felt like I was in slow motion. I'd be like, like, oh, it's bucking. I got to grab the, got to grab here, got to spur. I got to, got to hold on. Oh, here we go. And it seemed like in slow motion, but to everybody else, it was, the horse is doing its thing, you're like, how'd you stay on that thing? Like, I just did my thing. I'm up there and everything seemed like it was in slow motion. I'm just, to me, it was just slow because I was so focused and concentrated. I was open to everything. I could hear every move, every beat of that horse. I could feel every move, every muscle. I was just floating and doing my thing, and I was really good at it. And
awesome.
And that was the beauty of it all. And then now it's the same thing. I carry that through for other things, but for like opening my mind and blocking everything else out, I can do that and whip. I don't need noises at night to go to sleep. I actually like it when everything's really, really quiet. It's like, have you heard of that deprivation chamber place where they made a sound chamber? It's so quiet. If you go in there, it'll make you crazy or something. Nobody can stay in there more than an hour. And I'm thinking, oh, that's a breeze. I would love to try that. I'd take the money, but
yeah,
it'd be like
an
hour, an hour. I can hear my creaking bones and my blood pumping. Oh, wow. I would probably be in there just like, this is cool, man. This is cool. Shut my eyes and no sound at all. But anyway, it's the thing. So with all of that, now you read a lot of cards, right?
Mm-hmm.
You pull cards and stuff. How do you connect with spirit or whatever, how do you do it? Do you open your mind? Does it talk through you? Do you I've talked to others, and I've had Amber and Nina and Trina and all kinds of people pulling cards for me, and everybody does it a little bit different, but I pulled some cards myself, and I kind of just let my mind go blank. And then it's just like, I hear this little voice in my head, this card needs to be pulled. And that's how I'm working it.
That's a good way. I have a lot more feelings, hunches, when it comes, it feels right to me, like the pulling of cards and things like that. I like to sometimes let them fly out of the deck. They flip over when I'm shuffling. Like they want me to know that that's the one, so I kind of let them go when they started flying out of the deck like that. I just go sometimes until they fly out, and sometimes it's real fast. I usually, before I go live for like the new moon reading, which I'll do tomorrow night, I go into a zone, I guess. I go into I do some meditating where positive self-talk into it, and asking my spirit guides for guidance. I believe in a dual gendered spirit with no body or genitals. Actually, I believe in the energy of a masculine and feminine inside of my body. And we got to balance them both, or it doesn't work. Yes.
And that's the thing is, the more I read into history, and especially if you notice, I do this a show with David Null on Native American myths and legends on Tuesdays. And I've been, researching the Indians, and it seems like before the white man got here, they believed in what they would call, say, the great mystery, the great spirit or whatever. But and I did a show on this where this guy, early in the century, it was an 1840s book. So the Indians weren't really that tainted by the white man yet. And it was a great recording of this, in this book of what he found out. He was calling them savages and, barbarians and things like that. And he says, he kept saying these savages, they believe that that their God is, which isn't even a God, it's just all around them. They don't worship anything. They adore the plants and the bear and the fox and the blah blah blah, and their spirit resides in everything. It's nowhere. They have no statues or tribute or churches. How can they do anything if they don't have that stuff? And then what? The big words, how can we control these people if we can't get them to believe in one God and have them, fear their God? They don't fear their God. So how can how can this be? And what kind of God is it if you don't fear him? And I'm thinking, so until that point, God wasn't something to fear. Like you said, it's everywhere. How can you fear it? If it's in you and it's in the other person, it's everywhere, and it's in this created universe, which is in balance. So even if you have a bad person out there, the scales are going to tip back and forth all the time. There's going to be more bad, there's going to be more good, more bad, more good. But it's, no matter which way it goes, it's always going to tip back. It's always doing this. So, it may appear that, hey, we got more bad out there, but eventually it's going to sway back. And it may take time, but, in our minds, it should happen right away. But in the real world, it happens slowly. And we as humans want to, control things. We want to get in there and then get in your psyche and tell you need to fear, because fear creates all kinds of things, like you were talking about, anxiety. Fear creates the illusion, like you were talking about that gunshot. Well, normally you would have that fear response. Oh my God, there's a gunshot, but instead you're thinking, oh, that's a gunshot. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference.
Yeah. I observed it. I didn't absorb it.
Yes.
I was like, okay. I talk a lot about the Native Americans, and it is Native American History Month, actually. Native American Heritage. So actually this coming Friday is Native American Day or whatever, on Black Friday. Can you believe that even?
Wow.
The one day devoted to materialism as the means of control. I started seeing all the churches after my ayahuasca retreats. It's like Spirit wanted me to see all the churches and how it's church control. They came over here with churches.
Yeah.
And they took over everything.
You're exactly right, because the first guy they would send into most of them Indian tribes was a priest or a minister of some sort, and he would go in and he would do good things and act peacefully and bring them medicine and food and whatever, and then teach them about God and read the Bible and then a lot of their stories were sort of on that parable. They were their stories are parables, and most of the Bible stories were parable things, so they kind of related. They had flood stories and we had flood stories, and then they converted them over easily by taking their children and saying, what, these children, we're going to take them and give them a good Christian we'll teach them to read and write and all of that, and then we'll send them back to you, Mr. Chief. And the chief's like, you do that. You take my son, you know, he'll go, and they did. The son would come back and say to the tribe, you know, the church is good. You got to learn, you got to become, you got to, you know, and then he taught all of them. It was like, you know, slow conversion. And then of course, then they became all passive, and well, you know, then it was easier for the white man to come in and control them. Yeah. I
have
to
a
see
book.
that.
I have a Native American book, and it's in a box at the moment because I had to move a bunch of books. And it's the women's voices of the Native Americans, because they didn't just take the children. Like this actual shirt, as to me having Native American blood, says "No more stolen sisters," and it's got a Native American with a red handprint across her face. Nice. And you know, it was like, I do have Native American in my lineage, and I use the cards and things because we weren't taught any of this stuff. I am obviously not speaking Cherokee to you, am I? No. We're speaking in English over here. Yeah. So that tells a lot. They speak Spanish in Mexico. They don't speak Toltec or anything that was originally, they don't speak the Mayan language over there anymore.
No.
You study the Mayans too. So I'm actually getting back, and I study everything because my grandmother was also British. So I study Wicca. I'm open to all spirituality right now, and I'm seeing just what the control from religious indoctrinations. If we can't be the one, then we're divided, period. Yes. We can't really blame anyone anymore. There's no reason to be angry about it. It's none of us walking this earth right now. None of us have marched into another country unless you're in the military or something. You know, we didn't do this, but we can correct it. We can start getting back to our roots in natural healing, the plants, the medicines. I use those kind of oracle cards on my channel too. Yeah. Essential oils, herbs like turmeric for healing, because they all also, it's the pharmaceutical companies too. You see what I'm saying? It was like there was natural healing from the land in every piece of land, not just America. The indigenous teachings of the whole planet, whether it's flat or round, doesn't matter. All this healing, all the ancient teachings have been lost, and there's no reason to argue over beliefs and stuff anymore. We're here to like heal and remember who we are as a spiritual being.
So with that said, with the Native Americans, this is the one thing that I noticed with the Native Americans in the beginning, is the white man came, and the Indians had their groups, right? There was the Cherokee, and there was the, you know, the Shawnees and the Iroquois, and then there was the Plains Indians, and the, you know, they were all divided into tribes and smaller tribes and smaller tribes and so forth and so on. And they warred among themselves, right? But when the white man came, some of them buddied up with other ones and said, oh, we need to destroy that tribe or whatever, our arch enemies, you know. And then the white man would say, you want to destroy them? Great. Here's a bunch of guns. Go destroy them. And they did. And they're like, woohoo, we're winners. And then the white man said, okay, take away their guns. Now let's destroy them, you know. And they didn't stop to think. This is always how it goes, is one of the Indians would get afraid, and they would run and tell the white man and say, I don't want people to get killed. And the white man would say, okay, we won't kill everybody. You know, you'll save tons of lives if you just tell me where the bad guy is, you know. And okay, I'll do whatever. And so they run over there and they tell him, and then the white man runs in and destroys them all. And I'm like, what? every time there's always this, one traitor, and they get conquered by their own working against them. If they, like you said, united, if they would have all stood up and said, he what, red man? He red man? I'm red man? You're white man? Wait a minute. We got something in common, not you. If they would have all stood together, this world would be a whole lot different. But instead, they buddied up against each other. And the white man, he planned this the whole entire time. He's like, woo, they're going to wipe themselves out. And we'll just run in and conquer them. Woo, this is great. And they couldn't realize that. And here we are today, like you said, we're fighting amongst ourselves. Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Are you black? Are you white? Are you, Muslim? Or are you Christian? You're this Jewish, or you're Hindu or Buddhist, and blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait a minute. We're Americans. We're all here, and we should be united as one instead of divided, and nobody's winning because the guy at the top there, and there's only a few of them, is running all of us. Wait a minute. Didn't they make a movie called The Ants on that?
What's it called?
Ants or something like that.
Ants?
I think it's called Ants. I've never seen the movie. I've seen clips of it. It's a Disney movie.
Gotcha.
Where they said if they ever, the one guy, the big cricketer, says something like, if they only knew, that there's more of them than there is of us.
All right.
We can't let them know that they really do have the power. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, but he was right. And look at how many congressmen there are, and look at how many of us there are. But who tells us what to do?
Nobody, none of them tell me what to do because I got my headphones on, not on their station at all.
Well, no, but I mean, the congressmen, they make the laws, they make the rules, and then we're expected to follow.
It's all man-made.
Yes.
Like you don't have to follow them. Just my best advice is march to the beat of your own drum and do what feels right.
Well,
not
Michelle Canham Free says she loves that movie. She knows the movie I'm talking about.
Michelle does.
Yes.
I'll have to watch it now.
Yeah. Pamela Jean says today people seem to have lost their common sense. Yes. An ounce of common sense is worth a pound of facts. A guy who's so book smart and has no common sense can't tie his shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wasn't it Albert Einstein? Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking off the top of my head, But anyway, Steve Clark is in the house. I haven't seen you, Steve, in a while. Thank you for coming.
Welcome to everybody in the chat. I have a really hard attention span, so if I'm reading the chat, I cannot hear you. So I'm really trying to pay attention to you, so I miss a lot of the chat.
Yeah,
my brain
does
worry.
Go. Yeah. But yeah. I try to keep one eye. If you ever watch, you can see my one eye off to this screen over here, reading the chat and stuff. And then my screen's over here looking at you. And it's like, I can look here and then there. And it took me a while to figure out, because I had some people say, what are you doing? You're always the angle this way. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got the screen over there, and I had to figure it out. So every now and then I just kind of look and do my thing. I'm driving the bus, people. It took a while to learn how to drive the bus, but I think I'm doing a pretty good job. But here's the thing. Okay, so I see you got a deck of cards in your hand. What do you got?
Oh, the Native Spirit deck, actually.
Oh, that is wonderful.
It is the Native American Heritage Month by Denise Lynn.
Nice. I picked up, I'm going to show you my native book. I got I got Sacred Path cards. I bought this in Glacier, up at Glacier National Park area. Believe it or not. I don't know if any of you.
North Dakota?
North Dakota, yeah. Yeah, I went there this summer for a vacation. But Lucky Stone says Bugs Life is the bugs versus the grasshoppers. the grasshoppers were afraid the bugs would realize they could stop their rule. Yeah, so there you go. Anyway, but yeah, I went up there, and as you go there, I'm driving through, and it's bunches of reservations, the Blackfoot and so forth reservations to get to Glacier. So if anybody's been to Glacier, you got to go through all these reservations. And then there's that town just before you hit East Glacier. And that is just quite the Indian town. It's got a museum and stuff. And one of these days, I'm going to get time to go to that museum. A lot of people, I think, take the train to there, and that they kind of avoid all of that. But it is quite worth your time to drive through. I was driving through on 22, I think it is, or 200. I think maybe it's 200. And I stopped and camped at this place called Camp Disappointment. It's where Lewis, in the videos on my channel somewhere, not on this channel, it's on the Robert V channel. And it's a big monument, an obelisk in the middle of nowhere, where Lewis and Clark had stopped, or Clark had stopped looking for another waterway around the mountains or something. And he came across, there's just nothing out there. And he says, there's just nothing here. So it's this Camp Disappointment. And then he turned around and went back the other way to meet up with the other guy in the group, you know. But yeah, you're out there, and you're sitting there, and you're looking at this, and it's like mountains, and there's nothing but rolling hills for as far as the eye can see. So it's like, wow, okay. But then you come into that town, and it's quite the Indian place, and
it has a different feel, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Have a different feel. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
it does. But the Indians, they have quite the town, and it's an Indian culture out there. You're in Blackfoot territory. People don't realize when they talk about Glacier, it's surrounded by a lot of Indian stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The towns out there are named if you go to Whitefish or to Kalispell, people think of the Kalispell, but that was a group of Native Americans there. That was and I'm learning about these things too. A lot of these towns and cities and states are named after Indians or tribes or things, and we don't think about that.
No, like our towns, even by Chicago. Mm-hmm. I'm in Champaign, Illinois, and if you look up the tribes, like this is so heartbreaking for the natives, because they are so tricked. They got told, if you let us drill in your land, you see what I mean? If you let us do this, we promise that we won't do this, and everything's been violated. Some of the native tribes are going over treaties and things. Mm-hmm. This is why some things are getting changed, because I have one Native American who's teaching his children Native American things that he wasn't taught as he's learning. And his name is Native Michigan Ojibwa. Mm-hmm. And so, the cities like by Chicago, Algonquin is a tribe.
Yes.
The Iroquois, I live in the only state that has Iroquois County. Mm-hmm. We have Iroquois State Banks. It's pronounced Iroquois. I learned from someone in Canada. And she said it like I'm a dumb American when she taught me. And I was like, I'm only repeating what I was taught. And this told me a lot. Because if you look all the way from the Great Lakes, like, Chicago, down, even if you took the Mississippi, went over a little bit, down to Mississippi, down to Baton Rouge, New Orleans, when France came to the Americas, the names, so many things have gotten, like the Cherokee language is derived from Iroquois, and they had the first 5 nations and then became 6 later.
Yep.
And I could feel it, like when I traveled, even I was on psychotropic medications for a good portion of my life, under heavy spells from the doctors. And I think a lot of those things shut my feelings off. And after I went to the ayahuasca retreat, I dove into this native wisdom. I was taught by some natives in Albuquerque. He had a sweat lodge. I went to a sweat lodge. Everything was sacred. We've lost the sacredness. When we smoked a pipe, we connected to spirit and we blessed the pipe. We thanked the medicine. People, I think, have lost, as we're coming up on Thanksgiving, have lost the waking up and saying thank you to the sun as it rises in the east. You know, and those are the teachings that were lost when the church took over and said you can't have all these anymore.
Well, yeah,
you know,
because
go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, you can't say thank you to the sun, because you know you're giving away some of that thank you-ness to the sun instead of God. You know, God is everything. He made the sun and the earth and all of that other stuff. You know, but the sun, so you can't do that. You're going to take away some of that power, and they don't want that. See, this is where things kind of gone wrong. It's like you should be thanking the sun. The sun gives you everything that you have. It gives you food. It grows the crops, the vegetables, makes the sky blue. It you know, gives us rain. It does a lot of things. Without that sun, we wouldn't exist. That's who we should be. We should be thanking the sun. We are approaching the
dark months. You know what I mean? You know what happens to humans when we are forced with cloudy skies and the military just keeps spraying no matter what.
Yeah,
you know, I don't want to thank my veterans for clogging up my sky. Not really. We just had Veterans Day, and I have really mixed feelings about a lot of the things going on in the world, because it does upset me when I'm learning all of the means of control, not just the churches, through brainwashing, through ads and TV programming. It's called a program for a reason. So you can call the sun Allah, or you can call it Jehovah, or you can call it Jesus. Regardless, it's the sun, and it brings the light to the world. And every night we have a rest from the sun, and then we can thank the moon for being a beautiful night light. You know, it's like spirit is in everything.
Yeah.
In everyone.
Yeah. And what did they call it? It was grandfather moon, you know, or whatever. And then, you know, so that's the thing is they gave thanks to each one, you know, because without, and that's the balance that you're talking about too. You can see it in night and day. If it was always daylight, how horrible would that be? Or if it was always night, how horrible would that be? You can't have one without the other. There's a book, and I read it and I got it. Oh gosh, I can't remember what the name of it. I'll have to look it up. But anyway, it was Journey like to the Center of the Earth or kind of thing or something. It wasn't Journey to the Center of Earth. It was something on that order. Pellucidar. That's what it was. I don't know if you ever read that, but check it out. Pellucidar by I can't think of the guy's name off the hand. I've read that book 2-3 times. There's like 3 different books on it, but it was an awesome book. And the guy went down into the earth, and inside the earth, in the hollow earth, it's all about hollow earth. Pellucidar is, and so you live on the inside of the earth, and as you're there, there's a sun in the middle, but there's no night. So it's always daylight. And you, after a while, you start to lose track of time, because, you know, there's no day and night. It's always daytime. And so if you lay down and sleep or you're awake, you know, I mean, the guy was talking, he's like, oh, I was running for, I can't remember if it was days or nights, oh, we were sailing on the ship for, it seemed like forever. And then when I laid down to sleep, it seemed like I slept for weeks at a time. And, well, yeah, well, you can't set your compass, or you can't set your clock, and you don't know what's going on. The sun's always shining. It's always there. It's right there. It's right there. Yeah. What do you do? Everything's awake all the time. The birds are always chirping. The lions are always running. And he was like, the trees are always growing. So there was no downtime. And when you took downtime, you probably have stayed up for days at a time, because it's light out. Seems like it's noon all day long, that you would sleep for hours and hours. So be thankful that you have balance. I guess.
Like a lot of people who live in the warm climates, like down in Florida or whatever, when it's warm all the time. I actually was living in Nevada, and I've been out to California, and I was like living right next to Area 51 of all places.
Oh,
but
boy.
So, I think spirits have been guiding me I went through Oklahoma after the ayahuasca retreats. You know what I mean? It's almost like I ended up on a sacred land. Mm-hmm. And I was being reminded even to go back and thinking about the times when I was places where it'd be warm all the time. You don't have those moments of rest. And like Witch Moon posted not long ago about the winter solstice, I shared it over on my community tab. And it talks about the winter solstice isn't what it used to be, where we had times of rest, where we're overdoing it. Over lights, over stimulation, overspending. And we're not, I think a lot of these might be hindrances to our growth, hindrances to our healing, in many ways that we can't quite see. You know what I mean? If it was constantly always warm and always sunlight, you know what I mean? We wouldn't have a concept in this dual world we live in, of balancing elements, energies, not avoiding our sad feelings, our dark moments. I actually do a lot of shadow work. And so I know that's why I don't keep a lot of people's attention because it's easier for people to run around and stay busy, stay distracted, stay, it's called avoidance and denial and escapism in some psychological term worlds. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
I teach about addictions to materialism, to social media. These are some things people do not want to hear. So the things I touch on are taboo things, because the natives teach that everything we do, we should think about 7 generations ahead. These teachings have been lost. That everything on this planet belongs to the children. The water, everything. They have done their best to protect the land from being pipelines running through reservations and all of that. And so I understand their anger. It's the peace pipe card flew out the other day. And this is how spirit works in my world. I was having an old video of mine that was playing up here. And on the screen, I held up the White Buffalo Woman card. So it came down to a lot of the native teachings are about forgiveness. Their peace pipe was a very sacred thing. It was a sacred offering of forgiveness between things. Even the native tribes fought over the land. They would ransack each other's tribes and villages and steal the women and do bad things to them. It wasn't just the white men. The men have been, a lot of very masculine energy has been doing this for a long time with every tribe.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. These tribes, you know, I did a lot of research. I talked a lot about it. They went out there to steal things, and I think there was a weird purpose, you know, in that effect, so that, you know, if they were in these little groups, right? And you go to another little group and you steal some women, you're going to mix those genes together, you know, and then you also have the fact that, well, he's got a little more hunting ground than I do, you know, and that's how they didn't farm their land with animals. They just kind of moved back and forth in their territory. And that was, you know, but then again, their men were brought up from day one to be warriors, which is that masculinity. And then they were always doing the warrior thing. And a lot of times they went out more to count coup, showing how brave they were. Look, I stole a bunch of those Indian ponies, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Wow, you're brave. You walked right into that village and you stole their ponies. Wow, cool, you know. But very seldom did they, you know, go in there with the intent to, let's go in there and kill all their people. You know, it was more about, they had that club and they were, you know, if they touched you, great. You're you know, if they, you know, clunked you, and the scalping that came afterwards. That was started by the white man. The Indians did not start the scalping thing. That was from the French offering bounties to the Indians for scalps on the Indians. And that kept up all the way up until the end of the Indian Wars. You know, so that was a white man thing. They were scalping people, believe it or not, in Europe before all of that. So for us to say, oh, that was an Indian thing, that was only for the Indians because they would get paid for the scalps. And then afterwards it just caught on because, hey, you know, I can get these scalps and put them on a pole and yada, yada, yada. And so that was just kind of weird. But I think in the big picture, you know, that would have never happened. You know, it would have just been little warring tribes amongst each other. Yeah, sure, some get killed off, but I think that kept the balance too of, well, you got some weak old men or some not so brave guys. You got, you know, we're going to knock them off and then you can make some more warriors kind of thing. You see what I'm saying? Because if everybody lived in peace and harmony all the time and nobody warred with anybody, well, then there just become more and more and more and more and more people, right? I mean, it's kind of a delicate balance, and it was set up somehow so that everybody survived. Like okay, for instance, they were talking about the Indians of the plains, and before they had the horse, they would move along, and they used dogs, and they had small teepees, and when their old people couldn't walk anymore, they just parked them and left them and said, well, sorry, here's a piece of bread. We got to move on to our hunting grounds. And if you can't walk, we can't carry you. Goodbye. You know, sorry to say that's what happened. But until the event of the horse, you know, dragging him behind on one of those little, I forget what it's called.
What?
Huh?
A wagon or a cart?
No, they put the sticks behind them, you know, and kind of drag the sticks, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, until that happened, or a horse where they could put you on and carry you, the old people couldn't walk. They had to just leave them.
Oh man.
Yeah, which is sad, but that's how it separated the old people or the birdness people. I broke my leg. Well, I guess you're gonna die. You're sick. Guess you're gonna die. I mean, there's just so much we can do for you, but we need to move. We need to go. Just the way it is. Anyway, let's see. So Max Vision's got his show started, and so he had to go, but Teresa's got to leave. Thank you, Teresa, for coming. Let's see. I didn't get to see it in North Dakota. Steve Clark went to North Dakota. Anyway, a travois. That's what it is. A travois.
Okay, gotcha. A drag sled. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Lucky Stone is on top of it. So
Yeah.
anyway, getting on with our thing. There's so many more questions I want to ask you. We could go on for hours and hours and hours, and I want to talk about chakras. So I'm going to have you back on. But what I want you to do, could you pull a card from that beautiful card collection you have?
Yeah.
For the collective before
this
everybody.
Card actually flipped over even when I was playing with him.
Oh,
and that's
okay.
why I even said when I used the sun, as this is the one that flipped out. So I can read that, or I can do the other one. But I wanted to touch on something you just said. That was very masculine energy. A compassionate, tender heart would not say, "Oh, well, we got to move." You would carry the elder, or you would sit with them, or you would walk with them. Like in a wolf pack, if there's an injured wolf or an elder wolf, sometimes they do it walking in the front. And then the whole crew has to go at that speed. You know what I mean? That's unity.
Yes.
And but, so I think our world, for generation after generation after generation of trauma and guarded humans, as we're guarded as even this world pandemic has been awful, to teach people not to touch each other, not to hug, not to embrace each other.
Yes. And wait, don't forget, leave our old people die alone.
Yeah. My grandma's in a nursing home, and she moved there right before the pandemic. And this has her pain, her depression, this whole, I'm just covered in chills because it's been awful. I've lost more people to alcohol overdose, liver failure from alcohol. He was an alcoholic. My child of a heroin overdose that was laced with fentanyl. And all this fighting is too much masculine energy. Your sun is your masculine aspect. Your moon is your feminine. We have both in us. We wouldn't leave our elders to die. The elders are supposed to be teaching the children, if you want me to get on to native teachings.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I agree. Like I said, this is what I'm telling you is just what I'd read about that. And it was like, until, like I said, until the horse came, the travois and stuff like that, when they were in a pinch and they couldn't walk, I just emphasize it in a masculine way, but I'm sure it was a sad thing. It said that they would leave them with, blankets and clothes or whatever. But they knew they couldn't carry them, it'd slow up the whole tribe, and they knew they couldn't drag them along, and they didn't have food to feed them, and you back in those days, you had to carry your own, I guess, kind of thing. So, grandma's getting old and she can't walk, and we've dragged her for 100 miles, and we can't keep this up every day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, but that was a long time ago. I mean, the horses came, once the horse came in, it said that their teepees got bigger, their lifestyles changed. They didn't have to leave people behind. I don't think they wanted to. It was just that at that point in time, that was the way the world worked for them.
Yes.
And but I do notice from what I've read is that once they got the horse, their villages and lives increased tremendously. You know, their tribes grew. They moved, like the Comanches were way up in Wyoming in a small area, but once they got the horse, they reigned like the whole Midwest. You know, they were a very powerful tribe, all because of the horse.
Yes.
So,
absolutely.
you know, believe it or not, until the horse came, the plains were pretty much void and empty of any tribe, just because it was so open. And, you know, how do you get from one place to another? You know, you can't, what are you going to hunt a herd of buffalo? You know, you're out there on foot, they'll kill you, you know, and if they stampede you, they'll kill you. It doesn't matter how many arrows you got, you know, it's just, it's one of those things. And you can't get close to a deer very good on on the plains. It makes it real difficult, but in the woods, much easier.
Yes, much easier.
Yes. So that's my spiel.
That, you know, that's, and with the animals being so useful, and the sacredness of the connection, the medicine cards, like I have the same medicine cards that I saw on David No's channel it was quite a while back. You know, I used to be more active in some other chats, and I kind of turned away from things so I could process some stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I just had my child's second birthday without her, and then September 9th, 9/9, was my child's second ascension anniversary. I don't even like to say that day my child died. That's the day my child's spirit left her body here on the floor. Yeah. And, you know, I call it my child's ascension. You know, it doesn't sound so dead. It sounds like the spirit's alive. I actually had a vision of my child's spirit leaving the body, you know, so my human form has all these attachments and an ego. And so in those moments, sometimes I feel like I time travel back to a place, and then my mind will remember that my child is right here with me. You know what I mean? I have moments where I will gasp, or my breath gets taken away, or I catch myself sobbing on the floor because I'm missing my child so much. I fall to my knees, and I just allow myself to have that, because I'm still a human, you know, and it's overwhelming, but I'm getting through it. So I'm very grateful to have met you and been here. And I think again would be awesome, because I do want to talk about energy.
Yeah, I wanted to get into that too, but we could talk a whole nother hour.
Yeah, I got all this energy, because Mars is in retrograde, and Jupiter is going to station direct on Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, wow. And
Thanksgiving is supposed to be a day of mourning for the Native Americans. If you look it up, it's about a day of mourning. Not proud of, like, there's so many distorted teachings behind Thanksgiving. And Black Friday, it's the new moon is on the 23rd, and Jupiter will station direct that day. So I'm doing my new moon oracles tomorrow night. I usually try to do it a few days before, so I am free and not on YouTube that day.
Yeah.
On the new moon and the full moon, and doing my things, releasing, healing. So I usually do 2 parts because they're long. I read from the book because there's priceless wisdom and knowledge from the Native Americans in there. If I just look at this and tell you, oh, pay attention to your dreams. You know what I mean? I think there's some deeper wisdom and knowledge
Yes.
in the books. You love books too.
Oh yeah.
I think there's all teaching in with it too. So that's why I use oracle cards more than tarot cards. Go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. There's a difference. I found that out too. You got oracle cards do one thing, and then there are tarot cards that do something else. And I found there was a big difference. And I did until this year. I really didn't know that.
And there is. If you even look at the Kabbalah, this is going to be a whole nother video or something.
Yes.
And the Tree of Life.
Yeah.
If you actually get the Chicken Kabbalah, is an amazing book since you love to read. Mm-hmm. It's called the Chicken Kabbalah. It's over on my shelf. Mm-hmm. And it teaches you the path through, and it's 22 card path through the 22 major arcana. Mm-hmm. In the Tree of Life and the Tarot of Dreams deck. Mm. And it teaches you the meaning of every Hebrew letter, because we're in the year 22. Yep. And you are the Tree of Life and I'm the Tree of Life. We are all the Tree of Life. There's 22 letters in the Hebrew alphabet. Mm-hmm. If we're not going by English.
We went through that Hebrew thing. I went through that with some other stuff a while back on how each letter is like a tone, and I said, oh my gosh, they made tones for their letters to make words, and then they wrote this language, and then they did psalms and stuff with these words, which are actually like songs or tones. Oh my gosh, and I'm putting it all together. I'm like, oh man. So it's crazy. And speaking of that, we got the Angel deck of cards that Big Al had made. I don't know if y'all got these yet. This is a beautiful deck. And
I don't have it yet.
No, he just got them done. The 72 Angel cards here. Each card, they're big, they're nice. Each one has the psalm on there, if you can see.
Oh, wow.
And the sigils, the pronunciation of the angel it's done with. And then all the words are on the back.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Yeah, very nice, huh?
I got like an oracle card addiction. It's bad. I might need some type of
these are really, really, really nice. I appreciate Big Al for doing them. He spent lots of time there. If you go to the Crystal Network, the thing is in the description below. Go to Big Al's page. You can order up yours. I'm sure he's got a lot of decks left. I ordered a few, and I got mine. So they're beautiful.
All right.
They're beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Go to the Crystal Network and check them out, people. Okay, have you pulled a card for us?
Nope, I'm going to do it right now. I have to focus for a second. Thank you, Spirit. Right. Hello, Anita. I saw Anita come in.
Anita, yes.
Thank you, Spirit, for this.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. Welcome,
Grandmother Earth just flew right out.
All right, Grandmother Earth. Anita, come back.
And there's mine and Michelle's card. Well, Michelle told me thank you so much for answering the call. It's on the bottom. I shared that the other day on the community tab. So let's see what Grandmother Earth has to say. The Earth is always talking to us. She's not missed a thing. Yes. People think the Earth is not watching them drop bombs, and Grandfather Sky can't see them spraying all those planes. I just can't condone all of this stuff. I can't go along with it. They're teaching not healthy things that are good for the Earth out there.
Yes.
So
we've contaminated everything. They say there's plastic in everything we got now.
I know. It's my native friend wakes up and everything is so sacred. You see, like I'm learning from we're getting back to the sacredness in everything we do, everything we touch, everything we teach. It's like the land, our earth matters. The earth is speaking. Is anyone listening? Is anyone listening to the earth? Because I actually drink grandmother ayahuasca, and this is the grandmother earth card, the plant medicine,
Yes. Well, the thing is if we don't take care of the earth, eventually the earth will take care of us, and destroy us. Because, just think of how puny we are on earth, and we start destroying it, it's going to shake like this and shake us off. You know what I mean? In some way, shape, or form. Like, hey, look what you're doing to me. I'm gonna disrupt things, and I'll get rid of some of you.
She's been doing a lot of shaking, actually. Big earthquakes down there in New Zealand, 400-mile deep 7.0s that are moving around the ring of fire. Right now, there was just a big one in Texas the other day. So, yep, the earth is shaking. It's like a AC/DC song. The earth was shaking. So, all right, I'm going to read this real quick. Stop and take a measure of your life. Not everyone else's, I might add. Assess who you are and where you are. Get grounded. Make plans for the future, but don't act on those plans until you are ready and feel secure in stepping forward. There is a profound source of strength and power within you, and it's expanding now. Put your roots down. This is the time of preparation and going deeper. Your native spirit wants you to know Grandmother Earth provides the trees, plants, flowers, rivers, streams, oceans, mountains, and valleys, and supports us all with her bounty. She's stable and strong in her devotion to us. Oh, we are so grateful to the earth. You are supported and loved, even if you are not always sure of it. Strength is growing within you. Don't rush. Oh, this is always my message. Slow down. The seeds that you plant now will bring abundance in the future, both metaphorically, and if you actually take your real hands and use a real seed and put in the real earth, you will grow a real harvest. The seeds you plant now will bring abundance in the future, but only if you take the time to nurture those new beginnings. Take time to plan your future carefully. Don't rush into anything. Security and protection surround you. You are safe. Oh, let's say that one more time. Security and protection surround you. You are safe. You are surrounded by divine spirits at all times. If you're thinking of making secure financial investments and receive this card, it's telling you that this is a good time to do so. It is not a time to take risks. The journey says to deepen your connection to Grandmother Earth and bring security in all forms into your life. Walk barefoot on the earth. Place your hands in the earth or make investments. Imagine the strengthening, grounding energy of the earth filling you and your life. And that's correlates with the direction of north, earth, the earth element. And so, we are all the elements. We need to be grounded in the earth. We need nature walks. We need to sit next to trees and under trees and hug trees and teach our children. I don't have any children left in the physical world anymore. So I've taken up for speaking for all the little children. Be the mother to all the children now. So it's like getting back to our roots, teaching the children how to plant real seeds instead of get on electronics all the time. We have technically advanced robots being programmed into our little babies, you know. And if I knew then what I know now, I wish I could pass these things on to my child. I think my child is using me to speak louder sometimes and make moves like this, like it, because you popped up on my Instagram and I followed you, and then all of a sudden you were in my chat room because you followed me right back, and that's just how it's working now.
Oh yeah, ain't that crazy? Oh boy, yeah, it's just the big circle. We're just inches apart, you know, kind of thing. And it's, you know, it's like you're right there. I know when I went over to your channel, I was like, oh, my peeps are watching over there, and your peeps are watching over here, and I'm like, we gotta get together, you know.
Yeah, we do. I know them.
Big shout out to Allie Berry. Thank you for coming.
Hi, Allie
nothing
Berry.
ever really dies. Group hugs. Anyway, yeah, nothing ever really dies. And Allie was the same way. A lot of people were going over there, and I'm like, hey, you know, and she was on Steve Stone's show, Slightly Slanted Sleuth, you know, and I was like, oh, I'm, you know, what a small world. We're all so connected, and yet, you know, we're trying to be far apart. No, we're really connected. We're all right here.
Yes, we are. I even stayed on, after the ayahuasca retreat I went to in Albuquerque. I stayed in Tajares, New Mexico, up in the mountains. I mean, it was 8,000 feet up in the air. The moon was full on the winter solstice. It was December. Oh, it was so beautiful. And I was on the corner of Milky Way and Big Dipper roads. So I was like, you know, this is so awesome. And so when Michelle even told you, when I first met her, she had told me about Brian Barnett.
Yep.
And so one of your dear souls that traveled on to the astral world, you know. And so it was even by chance that I met Michelle just popping in somewhere. So it's never by chance. It's all by divine appointment. Even being here during our Native American Heritage Month.
Yeah, how crazy is that? That's awesome. I'd love to hear more about the astral charts and stuff, but you know, we're gonna have to do a short on that. And before Thanksgiving, so we can put that out so everybody knows what's going on. But anyhow, we're gonna wrap it up there. Okay. This has been great. Thank you for pulling a great card. That was just the right card. I think it's the card everybody needed to hear. But thank you everybody for joining me in chat. Max Remote View is over there. Go to Max's channel and do some remote viewing. He's already started. I see a lot of everybody went over there. Check him out. It's a lot of fun. Elderberry, thank you for coming.
Michelle will have to send me, or you have to tell me where the link is.
Yeah, I don't know if I got one in the bottom of the thing or not.
Michelle, she's awesome at that kind of stuff. She's a superstar for link grabbing. She's a moderator on my channel. So is the Witchy Moon.
Yeah.
Wonderful helpers.
There we go. There's a link right there for people. And
thank you so much.
And I will send you a link if you need one in an email or something. But anyway, thank you all for coming. It's been a great night. We're going to have to get together a few more times and kind of finish this up because you got so much going on, and it's awesome to hear from you about all of these things. I want to learn a little more about the chakras and stuff and astrology. Not really good astrology.
Thank you so much for having me. You know, I got to touch on this before we end, if that's okay. Yeah, 13 sign astrology, like 13 moon cycles. The women have 13 menstrual cycles. There's 13 is a really big number. And the 13th zodiac, well, it's the 9th zodiac sign in a 13 sign system. The sun is about to enter Ophiuchus on November 29th. So this new moon for me in my perspective in 13 sign astrology is going to be at 0 degrees Scorpio. I follow Eastern astrology. It matches closer. They don't include Ophiuchus. So I kind of got to flip things a little bit. From November 30th to December 17th is the serpent bearer, Ophiuchus. It's the divine feminine in all her forms and the fifth element spirit, not just fire, water, earth, and air.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing for me coming up here.
Yeah, we did a show on Ophiuchus last year.
Oh man,
you know, but yeah, it'd be great to review Ophiuchus. I think I got a whole folder on that somewhere.
Oh man, I gotta go check it. Is it public? You'll have to send it to me.
Yeah. I don't remember what show it was, but it was a really good show. How we're coming into Ophiuchus and the changes of the zodiac and all of that, and you know, it was quite the thing, and I learned a lot on that one.
It really jumbles people's minds when you tell them they're 13 sign astrology, and they're like, they don't. It's cognitive dissonance, and it was ancient Egypt actually and the pharaoh said, do not change anything, and the men, whoever wrote the calendars, whoever. You know, and you studied the Mayans, and I've got the Mayan messages books too. There was the Zolkin calendar too, not this Gregorian calendar in 28-day cycles when the sun is only in Scorpio for 7 days. Yeah,
exactly. So that was made up. That was made up thing too, because anyway, long story on that. We'll have to do a show on calendar.
Yes, we will.
But anyway, like I said, okay, well, everybody, thank you for coming. It's been a great night, another great show. Thank you, Heather, for being on, and go check out her channel. The link is in the description. Go check her out on Instagram, the whole 9 yards. And we will see you next time, hopefully sooner than later. Remember, go out, do something nice for somebody, give them a wave, smile, especially at this time of year. Thanksgiving, donate to your local food pantry, whatever. There's a lot of hungry, starving people out there, or there will be soon. Love y'all. Remember, go out, be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Peace, everybody.
Thank you all.